Our teenage daughter, I've asked questions before around her. She's 16. And now we're on our youngest. She's 12 years old. She's incredibly spirited and passionate and very alive, and has always, with this very large personality, has had difficulties in maintaining and creating friendships, and longs, I would say, for that more than anything, one good friend. She's in middle school. And as parents, my husband and I have parented 4 children. We've been parenting for 20 years, and we've gone through a lot of educational experiences, from homeschooling to private schools, alternative educational means. And she's right now in public school, which I know from a level of contrast you think is brilliant. And as a mother, I find sometimes kind of hateful because it is so cruel. And particularly I find amongst young girls, it seems young boys together just get down to, bashing each other and then they're good to go. But the young girls can really create a miserable situation for each other, and very, very hurtful. So a lot of my emotions is around being a mother, witnessing this, removing myself to be able to coach her and be soothing and helpful. And knowing how...
You could just go to school and beat all those little brats up.
I thought of that, but I quickly switched to their parents.
Where do you think we got the idea?
So I'm in this very tender place, as you can see, because it's been... just in this past week, the words that they choose, and they can all chat, so they can nail you 24 hours a day on the computer system. These girls can gang up after school and hit you. And she's, she's such an incredible kid.
Well, you began with something that you want for her. You think that she's longing for a friend, and we're certain that she is. It's nice to have a friend. But that friend that everyone is looking for is like the elusive silver gray fox in the state park. They don't show up very often. And then only in vibrational response to someone who's really ready for them. In other words, you can't have your feelings hurt, and she justifiably does. You can't have your feelings hurt and attract that friend because the vibrations are too far apart. Mm-hmm. But she's not looking for a physical friend. She's looking for alignment with her own source. In other words, we've been talking here today about this expanded version of you. That's the friend you want. That's the fulfillment that you're all seeking. You're looking for alignment between you and you. Sometimes you'll have a friend, such a sweet, angelic friend who looks at you, accepts you as you are, and loves you anyway, and says, I adore you, I love you, I like to spend time with you. And when anyone holds you as their object of attention, and they are loving you, then they're tuned into source energy, so they're flooding it all over you. It feels so good. And of course, everybody wants a friend like that, but it's not the physical friend like that you're feeling. That physical friend has just been a catalyst to cause you to close your gap. Mm-hmm. And most people are running around looking for somebody else to be the catalyst to close their gap. And that's what you're saying. You're saying, Abraham, give me some words so that I can guide my daughter so that she can find a friend that can help her to close her gap. And we don't want her to find a friend that helps her to close her gap. We want her to close her gap because that's where the friend of all friends is. In other words, she's got to tune in to the vibration of love, not ask someone else to give her words that give her the reason to tune into the vibration of love. You see what we're getting at? Mm. Ooh, it's not just about your child, it's about everyone's child, and it's not just about your child, it's about you too. Mm-hmm. In other words, this is about alignment with the resources that give you the wherewithal to stand in your own beingness. You've got to stop looking to others for that alignment and find it apart from them. And the evidence that you've found it will be the friends that come. You hear that? In other words, the vibrational indicator of alignment will be a lot of people that are joyful around you. An indication that means you haven't found it are a lot of people after you. You don't have a lot of people after you negatively unless you really, really, really want it to be otherwise. In other words, she's got a fast stream going and she's crossways of her current. We're wanting to remind you so that you can remind your daughter that what she is really looking for is alignment with who she really is, because every friendship that you want is because it inspires that kind of alignment. When someone adores you and you adore them, you're both tuned in, tapped in, tuned in. It's your alignment with your source that makes you feel that wonderful way. And we know that often, whatever you're holding as your object of attention, when you feel that way, you think is the reason that you feel that way. But it's only a catalyst that causes the real reason, and the real reason is alignment. So she cares about what they think of her, but she can't control what they think of her. Yes. And if you could just help her to understand that what they think of her has very little to do with her. What they think of her is about how they're doing in terms of alignment. That's a pretty big pill to swallow for most, but that really is the point that you have to get across. Mm-hmm. So the thing that you're wanting to help her to rediscover is, how can she be in alignment when someone else isn't? There's a segment in this new book where, in fact, in more than one segment, where someone is struggling with how someone else is perceiving them. Someone's telling lies about me, one segment talks about, and now I'm paranoid because I don't know what they're saying or who they're saying it to or how I can prepare myself. And the answer that we gave under that scenario is, if you are primarily tuned in, tapped in, turned on, so that you are your clear-minded, joyful self, and someone is saying negative things about you, no one would believe those negative things because they always find you to be clear-minded and wonderful. Mm-hmm. So what we would say to your daughter if we were visiting with her directly is, you want to get your own reputation going. And you want it to be a reputation that's coming from the whole of who you are, from the core of who you are. And once you do that, your power of influence will be so powerful. Point out to her that there are successful people all over the world who have plenty of people criticizing them. And the thing that they have learned above all other things is that they cannot pay attention to those who criticize. Because the criticizing has no basis in reality. It's just some negative person who feels like criticizing. Mm-hmm. There is a mob mentality sort of stream of thought. It's where people are. Everyone wants to feel good, and when they don't take it very well. And no one who's feeling good is in that mob who is smelling blood. In other words, that's the most important thing that we want you to understand, and we want you to understand it so that you can convey it. Now, we want to find some way to get across to her that she wants this alignment more than she wants their approval. In fact, the reason that anybody is asking for anybody's approval is because sometimes in finding the approval, you do find alignment, but you will never find alignment from gaining approval from people like that. People who are mean and are smelling blood and who are really in that mob mentality, finding alignment with them will make you one of them. Yeah. In other words, that's not what she wants. So what is it about them that you think makes her think that she wants? You said she hangs out with the boys. Clearly, it's not fun to run around with those girls. They're not nice to be with. They don't make her laugh. They don't inspire her. They don't bring the best out of her. So what is it about them? What is this peer group pressure? Why is it that the mean ones so often are the ones most sought after? That's the question that we'd like to get to the bottom of. What do you think she sees in them? If what they are displaying is predominantly their harshness, their rudeness, their disconnection from all love and upliftment, what does she see in them? And a bigger question is, doesn't she have to be in the vibrational vicinity of them to be co-creating with them in such a powerful way? Yes. Why are they actualizing around her? Mm-hmm. Why is she the point of their venom?
Well, because she has that in her as well. She's capable of that same kind of nasty lashing out.
And that's the thing that you want to get across to her. The fact that it is acquiescing around you means that there's something sort of big going on, which means a big turning point, not just for you, but maybe for a whole lot of people. In other words, if you can convince her that she is at the hub of this wheel, she will begin to feel her own power. In other words, look what she's managed to amass. She's managed to become the focal point of all of this. Don't you think that's interesting?
Yeah. Not attractive, but interesting.
Well, it is attractive. It's all about attraction.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what attractive is. You just don't usually say it in the negative sense, but it's what it means. When you say, oh, that's a very attractive person, what you mean is that's a person who's managed, for the most part, to get tuned in, tapped in, turned on. So they're radiating the vibration from their total sense of who they are, and they have more powerful influence. That's what charisma and that attractiveness that you see in so many. Every thought that's ever been thought still exists, and law of attraction causes a coalescing of those thoughts. So there are rivers of mob mentality. There are rivers of people who are disconnected. There are rivers of meanness, just like there are rivers of joy. And when you find yourself at the hub of something this significant, you've got to stop defending her in the sense that she is the victim and that they are the victimizers, because there isn't any of that in the universe. You've got to say to her, why is this happening to you? It's happening for a reason. And the reason that it's happening at this point, the reason you're keeping it going is because you're giving your attention to it. But there's a reason that it got going that you've got to change. This, whether you like it or not, is a vibrational indication of something that you got going on. And say to her, sweetheart, it's the hardest thing in the world to be looking at something and feel a different way. But you can do it. And when you do that, you're going to discover that you are the hub of a different wheel, not the hub of that wheel. And isn't this going to be a fun transition? So she feels defeated. She feels not loved. She sometimes feels angry. But she's really got her tail between her legs these days because she's strong. You see, when you're strong, a mob mentality wants you to wear down fast. And when you don't, they just come on stronger. Haven't you noticed that with every encounter that you've ever had? If somebody wants you to agree to something, isn't it just easier to agree so they'll go away? Give us some of what they're saying to her, and we'll give her some pithy responses. Pithy iChat responses.
Something around boys, I guess. Just her attraction, her interest in boys.
I know, she could say. I can't tell if I'm ahead of my time or behind my time. If we were a little older, we'd all be over there with them. And so you'd say, I'm ahead of my time. But since boys are basically juvenile, then it might appear that I'm behind my time. But I don't know. I'm sort of caught between worlds. Thanks for pointing it out. Pithy, don't you think? Well, it's diffusing, isn't it? Diffusing. If you were a mean mob, wouldn't you feel diffused? Here's what we would encourage you to say to her next time she sits down to read them. Say, pretend that these people are your very best friends and they've just temporarily forgotten it. And so pretend, just while you read these, just pretend that they are well-meaning and that they really are trying to help you, and respond to them as if that's who they are. And then say to her, now I don't know that's who they are. And from the sound of what I've been hearing, it may very well not be who they are. But pretend that that's who they are and answer them as if that's who they are. So they say something really mean. She says something back that isn't. They say something really mean. She says something back that isn't. They say something really mean. She says something back that's even a little appreciative. So what begins to happen is, if they are well-meaning, if there is something at the basis of what they're saying, as she begins to respond with some attitude of appreciation rather than defensiveness, she's going to see that whole thing begin to turn right before her eyes. It's really an interesting thing. If you've followed any threads on the internet, how a handful of people get on there and just stir something up really negatively. And then another person will get in there and write from their clear-minded perspective, and you can just feel a diffusion of all of that stuff. It's like, even if they disagree with it, it diffuses it, because others who are reading it become more of a vibrational match to that. We're really not encouraging that she withdraw from the world or that she withdraw from iChat, but we are not encouraging anyone to step into anything until they have found their stable place, you see. Whatever is happening in your real life experience in terms of manifestation is a vibrational indicator, period. That's all it is.